And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for a fight between Eugene Bedенко and Ivan Vasilev. And this is the first fight of the official M1 Medieval project. As it is a night fighting project started by M1. It's three-minute round. It's always a feeling out process in the beginning before strategies really take into effect. Bedенko in the red is a welterweight who represents the Night Fight Club, Zabandia Basha.
For people that have not yet figured this out, these are really real swords. We have to put the accent that the damage are very real. The armor that they're wearing are also very real.
But interestingly enough, over the past 10 years, the armor's gotten lighter. So for someone who's well-trained and has the necessary stamina, apparently, and I've spoken to several of the knights over the past few days, apparently they don't really feel the armor when it's on. And if you use it correctly, it actually minimizes any sort of trauma that you receive. They don't complain about all sorts of things like general injuries that MMA fighters get, ACL injuries, knee injuries, hand injuries. They rarely complain about such things. What they do complain about is if they don't use their helmet properly, there could be some trauma.
Seems like there's trouble with the red corner. Has to pull it again.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there are takedowns here, there are shots, you can punch, you can elbow, you can do all sorts of things, and the fight can be finished. Whilst a lot of these fights do go to decision, these two fighters in particular have had a history of finishing fights, believe it or not. In red, Ivan Vasilev is the two-time Russian champion, won in both 2013 and 14. He's the vice champion of White Castle tournament and a multiple prize holder of the Clash of Nations. And he holds an 11-2 professional record. It should be noted that his opponent in the red, Eugene, is actually slightly less experienced, holds a 6-1 record. But he's also won the Clash of Nations tournament where he's also a vice champion. So this is very interesting, two Russian champions, and it's very clear that they're both very talented. The use of the sword, which is also blunt. You should note that it's a blunt instrument.
We even see the sparks when it hits.
And we're back for the second round after an entertaining first round of action. The crowd really enjoys watching these night fights. It's very new to them here, but they definitely enjoy it.
These are very good, spectacular. You gotta have this.
Special attraction. As you can see there, that there was a strike to the helmet, and to explain the point system a little better, strong strikes using the sword or the shield. If it hits the armor, the referee can award, and there's judges on the side, the referee can award a point. A takedown, as we saw in the last round, is worth 5 points. There are 4 judges at ringside judging it, and if for any reason we end up with a draw, split between two judges on one side, 2 judges on the other, there is a 5th judge who decides who is the victor. You can see the fighters are a lot more comfortable now. They're getting a little fancier with their shots.
Even attempting the spinning back kick.
There was a spinning back kick, there was a spinning back fist earlier. It's getting very interesting now.
It's surprising that they can pull up these moves even though they have no armor. I guess, as we were mentioning, that the light armors are helping with those moves.
Well, you still need some extreme stamina. You need to be extremely fit to be able to wear all that and still maneuver for like 9 minutes. It's just...
It must be very difficult to breathe.
I'm sure years in they're used to it. Many of these fighters have been fencing and doing all sorts of historical fencing for 10 to 15 years now. Many of them started in junior high, for instance. They take an interest in it and then it just becomes a hobby to them.
I think with the new popularity of, for example, series like Game of Thrones or movies, Lord of the Rings, I think maybe the sport is now coming back. And as we see, the level is pretty high, so it's impressive to see here right now tonight in Moscow.
Of course, it was M1 Global founder Vadim Finkelstein who came up with the idea to introduce M1 Medieval after he joined forces with Artem last year. It was very interesting to see on M1 on his 50th birthday, and for M1 Global 50 it was the first night fight. That's when it took place, and it blew fans away at that point. So since then he has decided to start up M1 Medieval, which at this rate we're going to be seeing more about 8 to 10 fights of this kind over the year, and over the coming years we're going to start seeing weight classes develop and championship belts and all sorts of things. Believe it or not, at one point it could become its own faction, its own affiliate of M1.
And this is the last and final round of this fight.
While many might be watching this right now and not taking it very seriously, it should be noted that several of the top gyms in both St. Petersburg and Moscow have started to implement fencing incorporate fencing into the preparation for their fighters. So MMA fighters, whether they are competing in M1 Medieval or not, which they generally will not be, will still be doing all sorts of fencing to work on their agility, stamina, dexterity, hand-eye coordination.
Vasiliev successfully attempted a takedown here. Referee stops them, stands them up.
That'll be the second one. If we're going on points, it looks like Evgeny is doing the better here. The hand-eye coordination is just so impressive. Their ability to attack and defend at once, it's just very interesting to see. For a sport that's so foreign to us right now, it's just very fascinating.
Bedенko landed a good shot to the head. Seems to be resting in the corner. Will Vasiliev take advantage of it? Bedенko seems really tired in this third round.
Vasil looks like he's going to take advantage in the third round.
You should not let him rest. He should attack right.
It should be noted, ladies and gentlemen, that shield strikes to the face do count for the same points that a strike with a sword do.
Bedенko just landed one of those shields attack. Vasiliev is moving forward.
What a strike there.
Both fighters studying each other, trying to catch their breath.
So what do you think, Yuri? Is this something that interests you? Something you'd like to try?
This is definitely not something I would like to try, but to watch a fight like this, for me, this is very entertaining. This is very special. I like this medieval type of fighting. I'm really happy that M1 is bringing this back. I think this is really spectacular for all the people watching at home and watching here in the audience. Oh, big knees here landed by Vasiliev. Referee decides to stop the action.
As we're saying, there's a lot of MMA strikes going on in this fight as well, incorporating all sorts of elements: fencing, historical fencing, and MMA.
And this is